your speakers up. Paper on the beat.
Exalted Entertainment Radio, this is Kiara D, and today on The Love Factor, we are talking about saving yourself. What is it like to wait to marriage nowadays? Is it still popular? Is it still the thing? Well, we're going to find out today, but first and foremost, let me just say thank you all for tuning in on this lovely Saturday. And, you know, this is The Love Factor, where it's all about relationships. Today on the show I have joining me is Ariel Grant. Thank you for joining us today, girl.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
So Ariel, she's going to be sharing her story with us as far as how to wait to marriage, how to abstain. You know, we're going to share both of our stories. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, don't forget that you could click the chat icon and we can see your comments right here, right now, live, okay? Again, I'm Kiara D, and today we're talking about waiting to marriage. Now, I know that today it's like everybody's doing it. Everybody in society is like all over this whole lovemaking thing, right? But I do believe that there are still people who believe in saving themselves to marriage. And so that's why I have Ariel on the show with us today. Ariel, if you could just, you know, let's talk about how did you get to this point where you wanted to wait to marriage?
It was just based off of different people in my family, I guess you could say, who did it the wrong way, I guess. Wow. And, you know, I didn't want to have to go through certain things that they had to go through because, you know, some of them didn't wait and, you know, ended up getting with the wrong person or getting pregnant, you know, some on the things along that line.
So basically you was able to learn from other people's mistakes.
Yeah.
Okay. Because, you know, I see people all the time and they have somebody in their lives that made those mistakes and say, hey, follow me. You don't look at me. You don't have to bump your head. But people still choose to bump their head and learn things the hard way. I don't understand that. But
yeah.
There are so many people out here booed up, and of course sex comes with the territory. But I just want to get from you, like, what was your initial motivation not to follow the crowd? Was it a parent or somebody in particular that spoke to you, that encouraged you, or was it really more so just you learning from other people's mistakes?
I probably say it's all of the above, but the main one is definitely my parents. Like, my parents are the main ones who always was talking to me about the reasons why I should wait until I'm married, you know, to have sex. And at first, I thought, like, oh, you know, if I'm end up dating somebody, it's going to happen. But when I really thought about it, I was like, you know, it doesn't have to happen.
Right.
You know, I can't wait until I'm married because it is something precious. And so...
And see, I wish so many people understood that because, like you said, it's very precious. But so many people just take sex for granted. It's like that's the thing of the norm now. I mean, you know, years ago, we heard of a such thing as a chastity belt. And that was to keep the female from having sexual intercourse. And so the chastity belt is something that was a physical object that somebody wore, that like women wore back in the days to really to keep them from going to that level. And so I'm kind of just like, man, it'd be nice if those items still existed. I know that's kind of ancient, but it's like, man, I mean, because it's not easy keeping yourself together, which takes me to my next point. How do you hold it together? I mean, I know you're a very pretty girl. I know people probably see you all the time. You're gifted, you're talented, you can sing your behind off. And I'm just like, how do you manage to keep it together in today's society? Because I know the pressure is there.
Yeah, it definitely is. The pressure is like kicked up to like I don't know how high, but it's I don't know. I guess you could say I just focus on different things. I mean, like I play basketball and I'm in college and stuff like that, and I live on my own with, roommates and stuff. And so I just try to keep my focus on the more important things rather than, the fact that, that I'm trying to stay, abstinent and stuff like that. I don't just focus on that, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I just try to focus on other things. But, I am human, so,
right.
Temptation is going to come. But when
Hello, somebody.
When it does come, you know what I'm saying, I just go back to think about stuff that my parents told me. Because every time I feel like I'm in a situation, I instantly refer back to my parents and things that they've taught me, even along the lines of the Bible and stuff like that. Like,
wow, that's good.
Go back and flash back to what they say, which helps me stay grounded in what I want to stay grounded in as far as being abstinent and stuff.
So they kind of keep you, kind of hold you accountable in that area. Am I right?
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. It needs to be more parents around here like that. I mean, like, honestly, because so many parents, I feel like they just allow their young ones to do anything and everything, and they don't really get involved with their lives. But it sounds like your parents are really involved with your life, even though you're in college. You out there basically grown and on your own. Hello, and they're still involved in your life, and so I think that's really good. I applaud them for that. Have you ever encountered any individuals who tried to pressure you into doing it? I mean, like, I know you talked about the temptation is there, but have you ever had that encounter where you had to just tell brother man, this ain't going down?
I've never been in that situation where I had to just really tell him straight up, like, this is not about to happen. But I think it's because I'm so upfront with it that I don't have to deal with that. Because I tell people straight up the gate, I'm a virgin, and I'm planning on staying a virgin, so don't try anything. You know what I'm saying?
See,
and I get very serious and strict about it when I tell them right off the gate.
You are one of a kind, because let me tell you, back in the day, honey, before I got married, I was practicing abstinence, and it's like, that made me a target. Like, dudes was like, you abstinent? And so to them, it was like, I'm gonna try her. I'm gonna find out if she really about what she talking about. Yeah, he found out the hard way. Yes, I was about my business, and I kept it together, But like, my situation is similar to yours. Whereas, I mean, unfortunately, I did not remain a virgin until marriage, but like I said, I practiced abstinence, and the influence behind that was my stepfather, because after that I had my first time. After my first time, my stepfather came to me and he said, promise me you won't do it again. And from that point on, I said, okay, I'm going to try. And I promise you, I really did try from that day forward. And so that was my inspiration. And I was so happy, so grateful that I decided to make that decision. Yes, it was placed in my hands. I was given the choice, but I believe I chose the right choice, because in the end, it helped me to be a better person, and it helped me to know my strength. And so I want to applaud you on that, because I know it's not something easy. It's not something that's taken lightly. And to be able to say you're in your 20s and you still holding it, girl, I salute you big time.
Thank you.
I wanted to know, how do you deal with the naysayers and the doubters that don't believe that you're going to make it to marriage? I mean, I know you got those people, those haters they'll be like, yeah, right, you playing, I don't believe you. I mean, how do you respond to those individuals?
Honestly, in the past, in high school, it would get to me, because I'm just like, oh man, like, they're together and they're doing this, and
wow.
Everybody's just out here having sex, so I would feel pressure, like, man, like, I don't care what anybody thinks, I'm going to just do it. And, and then as I got older, I'm like, I got more, stabilized with it, where people would say or think, it didn't move me. Because I'm like, well, this is my decision, and this is what I feel strongly about, so I don't care what anybody else is saying.
Well.
And, so that's just how that goes. And some people, sometimes will try to, talk a lot of mess about it simply because they wish they still had their virginity.
Right.
Because some people are gonna hate on that. So
right.
That's why a lot of the times I'm not moved by what people say, because some people are just saying things to put you down.
Or you would get the people who say, "Oh, well, don't you believe you gotta try before you buy?" No, honey, because sometimes when you
how
try,
do you know you're gonna like them?
Right, and I hear that a lot. But trust me when I tell you that means nothing, because if you never had anything to compare it to, like a lot of these people, I mean, then you don't have to try it before you buy it. I mean, I've heard of people who've gotten married and they're disappointed because they've had so many partners before their marriage that the one that they're married to cannot satisfy them. Well, if you didn't try it before you buy it, if you didn't milk the cow, I mean, you wouldn't be at that stage. But what I'm getting at is, it's really worth it in more ways than one. But on the flip side, I have to admit, I did read an article a little while ago about someone who saved herself until she was married, and she was really disappointed. I've never heard of such thing. This was my first time I've heard of anybody being disappointed for waiting. And she felt like she was more so pressured by religion, and it wasn't all that it was cracked up to be. And so that's the unfortunate thing. But it sounds like you are doing it for yourself, not so much as being forced by religion. Yes, that plays a role, but it sounds like you made that decision on your own before anybody said this is the way to do it. It sounds like you already had that made up in your mind.
Right, yeah. And then the main thing is just to be an example in my age group, you know what I'm saying? Because some people say like, oh, when you're 20, when your years, when you're in your 20s, people, you're just gonna want to do it a lot, and with whoever, whenever. So that's assumed with a lot of people in their 20s.
Well, I mean, not only that, you got MTV, BET, and every TV pressuring you to do it. Like, this is the thing, and it's rare that we see anybody in the limelight waiting. It's rare that we see anybody that's in the spotlight talking about, hey, I'm going to save myself to marriage. And so, yes, when you say that, I mean, when people hear that, oh, you're still holding on, it's like they look at you as if you got three heads. That's not the case. I got my head on straight. How about that? And so how do you manage to hold it together when you're with somebody that you're really into? I mean, are you already dating at all, or, I mean, what's...
Yeah, I'm not dating anyone right now, but, I was dating someone.
Okay. So how did you hold it together? Like, I mean, because I know you probably done came across a few fine dudes just like, oh, my goodness, he looks so good. Like, I just want to go there. Like, but how do you hold it together? Because I know that's not always easy. Those thoughts come.
Yeah, you're right about that. It definitely will come. Because there was this one guy that I talked to, and I liked him a lot, and we always hung out all the time. I have nothing to do in the morning. I'll stay over there in the morning till nighttime.
Wow.
And just hanging out doing nothing. But then eventually you start getting that urge when you start kicking it around the person that much, that much time.
Right.
And so that urge would come. And then it's going to first start out, you're like, oh, we're just play fighting. And then you're going to start touching. Next thing you know, you're like, whoa, how did they get this far?
Right.
So I have to make a better decision. Like, when I stay here later, you know what I'm saying? I mean, the more I come and the longer I stay, the more attached I get to this person.
Well, I mean, not only
that,
that.
Change.
Right. I think the interesting thing is that after a certain time of the night, the human mind begins to get, just go everywhere. And so I know when me and my husband was dating, we gave ourselves a curfew. I think it was like 10:30, because we knew after 10:30 things could get hot and bothered. Like, it could just won't be a good situation if we stayed in each other's presence after 10:30. And then I think we even started getting to the point where we realized we couldn't even talk to each other on the phone after certain hours because, yeah, those emotions start to creep up after certain hours. And so we had to set those boundaries for ourselves if we wanted to make sure we waited to marriage. And we dated for a whole year and a half. And so that's a long time if you ask me to be trying to clank.
Yeah.
Like, for real. So what is your dating life like, though? I mean, do you still, like, are you really into the dating life, or are you more so on reserve? Like, hey, I'm just going to chill back and wait till Mr. Right come along and find me.
Yeah, I guess you could say I'm kind of chill. Like, I've never been the type to want to rush or be in a relationship because, like, in high school, I didn't date at all whatsoever.
Wow.
I never dated anybody in high school.
That's interesting. And it's not that you're not attractive, because I think you're very pretty. And matter of fact, haven't you done some modeling before? Or did you?
I mean, yeah, well, I'm going to different auditions and stuff like that.
Okay.
Doing that.
So we have model material here, seeing she didn't really date around. I want y'all to take note of that, because looks does not mean you got to be, the main one that everybody coming after and tapping. Let's just keep it 100. But like, that reminds me of my husband's story, because he did not date around in high school either. Matter of fact, I was his first girl. And so,
oh, wow.
Yeah. And now it's like, we got people looking at him, looking like, oh man, dude, you don't look anything like what you looked in high school. And it's just like, he done did a 180, and I'm just loving it. Like, But anyways, enough of that. I honestly believe that just because you decided to make this decision, which is a very wise decision, that you're going to get really blessed by that. Like, you're going to have the perfect husband, because he's going to admire the fact that you've been able to wait for him. And I mean, like, a lot of dudes, they really would like something like that, but a lot of females think, oh, if I give it up, then that'll make him want me. Well, honestly, it's more so reverse psychology if you do that, because as the saying goes, why pay for the cow when you could buy the milk for free?
Right.
And so we get a lot of people who are kind of who are deceived for that reason, because females, we tend to take on this motherly role or this wifely role before we even become a wife. And it's like, if you really want him to put that ring on your finger, you need to do something a little different. And you wonder why you keep going through one dude after the next. Well, if you close your legs, or if you stop doing all the wifely things, more than likely he'll put that ring on your finger sooner than later. And for me, I know my husband told me, had I decided to give it up before we got married, we probably would have never got married. Just keeping it 100. So dudes like a challenge. And I think that's wonderful that you decided to make that decision. Again, I know I've already said that before, but I mean, to be so young and you're still holding on, and I'm not saying like you're super young, like, but you are in your 20s and you're still holding on. And I mean, I know the temptation is there. I know the pressure is there. And I know people are always in your ear, but at the same time, you could be a model for that. I mean, you could be a spokesperson. You could be a voice in the wilderness for that reason. And you'll have people probably coming to you, asking you questions. I mean, you probably already have that now, huh? Like,
oh yeah, I have people come up to me and ask me, like, how do you do it and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it's like you're like a role model already, because people are looking up to you for that. And so that's really, really wonderful. If you had to share 3 tips with people as far as how to keep it together, what would those 3 tips be?
I'll basically say stay focused on what's important. And another one would definitely be think of what will happen afterwards.
Okay.
how would you feel, and
Right.
stuff like that. And
Right. I guarantee it's a lot of people that's
that you
probably,
really want to do that to.
and
Huh?
I believe it's probably a lot of people. There are probably a lot of people out there who have regrets of their first,
Yeah.
of losing it. Because as the,
Because I have people come up to me all the time,
mm-hmm.
and they're just like, man, like, when we do have a conversation about it, and I'm like, and I say, oh, no, I'm a virgin. They're like, man, I wish I still was, because I regret losing it to the person I lost it to.
Right.
But then they feel shameful at the end of it. So I always say, think before you make a decision.
I always say once you pop, you just can't stop, like Pringles. So,
Exactly.
but I mean, honestly, if you really want to stop, it's possible. I did it. And it's all about willpower. It's all about choice. So whatever you put in your mind, whatever you feed your mind is what's going to lead you. But what was your third point? I want to make sure we get to that. Your third tip.
My third one, I don't know. I guess with me, I just would say, I don't know. I guess you could say those are my main two. I mean,
okay.
I don't really have a third one.
Okay.
I guess those are my main two. I just stay focused, and I always think before,
Okay.
That's what I do.
Well, if I had to share three, I would have to go back to last week's radio show. Anybody that tuned in last week, we talked about boundaries within dating and marriage. And so, of course, with dating, you want to make sure you avoid those levels of affection. If you're a very affectionate person, you want to make sure you avoid affection in the dating stage from an intimate standpoint. So what I mean by that is you want to, okay, some people might think this is a little absurd, but holding hands, that could do something, because there's only so much holding hands you could do. So from when you go from holding hands, then next thing you'd be hugging each other. And then after that, it's like you caressing each other. And then after that, it's like you want to kiss. And then finally you get to the fifth stage and you ready to hit the bed. You ready to hit the sheets. And so, honestly, when you are physical in any capacity with each other, it gives you the potential to take it to the next level. And so that's one thing. Secondly, I would encourage is if you are a virgin. Now, I know, Ariel, your story is a little different, but like I said, with me, anytime I told a guy that, or anybody, it seemed like I was a target. So what I would recommend to a lot of people is don't broadcast it, because, again, that makes you pray. Men are very mission oriented. And this is not just a knock against men, because females can be mission oriented too. They want to get some notches on their belts too. There's some females out here like that. But if anything, do not broadcast the fact that you're abstinent or you're a virgin or you're celibate, because it's those terms that once you put it out there, people are going to try you. And people are going to really try to pursue you and see you about your word. And so that just makes you have to deal with more temptation than you have to. And so that's my second tip. And then my third tip is watch what you wear. Watch what you wear, especially us ladies. We got to do better with wearing PJs around fellas or out in public. Yes, I see it all the time. Girls wearing the pajama pants and scarves and everything. It's like, that's all they need to do, or all they need to see. Some guys would like a little mystery, and sometimes we don't leave any mystery to the eye. We reveal all, and so in that way, next thing you know, a man is physically, he's stimulated by our physical being, and so if we are not mindful of these things, if we are not mindful of what we're wearing or anything, then we could easily stimulate him just by what we have on. And if we're being one-on-one with this person, yes, that's going to happen. And I'm sorry, one more tip I would like to add to that.
Okay.
Keep another party around you. If you're seeing somebody that you're really interested, don't be in each other's personal space. Like, it's important to have a friend or somebody in that same environment so that you won't be tempted to take it to the next level. Because I promise you, honey, once the emotions and the feelings and hormones get to raging, it's kind of hard to stop it. So when you have that other person in your presence, in your environment for another level of accountability, then that's going to help you to be able to weather the storm. So those are my tips that I wanted to share out there, that I wanted to put out there. But Rel, did you have anything else that you wanted to share with us as far as how you keeping yourself together?
No, just basically what I said. I just focused on what's important, which is school and basketball, and setting my life up for the future. Pretty much is, what I stay focused on, and I just try to make smart decisions to not put me in position to feel vulnerable to do it.
What do you feel like?
I always do that.
What do you feel are the benefits of waiting? You personally, what do you believe you would get out of it?
Well, I think the benefits of waiting is because if you are out there doing that, you gotta wonder if you're pregnant, or every time something late, you automatically gonna think you're pregnant, and different sexually transmitted diseases that are out there. Like, you're dodging so much.
Absolutely.
Not have to worry about any of that. And so I feel like it pays off because, man, I've never been with anybody. I know I'm clean.
Right.
And, this, that, and the third. So that's not something you got to worry about. So I feel like those are a lot of good benefits of waiting.
I think if you are able to be faithful to yourself in that area, then it just makes it that much greater once you get married, that you could be faithful to your partner. Because I see so many people stepping out on their spouses, and they're looking for something, quote unquote, better, instead of working on what they got. They're looking for somebody else that they can get at, or they're looking for something fresh, something new, quote unquote. And so I think it's really interesting that you brought up those factors as far as the side effects, STDs, pregnancies, because that just reminded me of a story I just heard about. My friend was telling me about how she saw a video on Facebook. I don't know if you saw the same video, but I guess there was some female that stays over in Africa, and she had contracted HIV or AIDS. And as a result, she decided to come over here and infect over 100-something guys with the same HIV or AIDS virus that she had. And then she went back to her native country. Well, I know if you do that here in the States, that's a crime and you can get locked up. But because she doesn't live here, I'm not sure if she's going to even have to do any time. But that just goes to show you, even though there's protection, people can wear protection all day. That doesn't protect you from genital herpes or genital warts. Or what if it break? People don't think about those things. They just think about the now. They just think about how great it's going to feel. They don't think about the consequences that could come with that. And so, again, I salute you, girl. I salute you big time. I'm so happy, so proud of you. Just so thankful to see that there's still people that's abstaining, because I know when I was abstaining, I felt like I was alone. I felt like I was the only one doing it. I didn't have too many people in my corner that was trying to stand with me. I had my three main homegirls, and I know for a fact one of my homegirls, she was hardcore, die hard, all about it. But my other homegirls, their story was a little different. But again, as I said, this is not no easy walk. This is a definite faith walk, okay?
Yeah.
So, Ariel, I would like to say thank you so much for joining us today. Do you have a Facebook page or anything you want to put out there, Instagram, anything, or you rather keep that personal?
Well, I have my Facebook, and that's Ariel V. Grant.
All right. So, ladies, if you need a little bit of inspiration, check out Ariel's Facebook page. Fellas, don't think that she's about to be all on the market now just because she put her Facebook page out there, okay? Yes, she's cute, but that don't mean she's on the market. All right. Anyways, again, thank you all for tuning in. This has been another great show, Exalted Entertainment Radio. And I am Kiera D. Right here on the Love Factor, we are signing off. Look forward to seeing you all right here, same time, same place next weekend. You all be blessed. Exalted Entertainment Radio, signing off.